Now, the final phase we're in today is very much about advocacy. We want to move these ideas forward to the degree that we can, depending on political context. And we have some more work to do to fill in gaps on economics, archaeology, property ownership. We've also, importantly, I think, begun a dialogue for a while now with religious figures, very much in close cooperation with Trond Bekovic, the convener of the Council of the Religious Institutions of the Holy Land, who is actually happily with us today, Trond. Now, we Canadians take responsibility for all that's in the studies, the results. But I don't think any of us can overemphasize the degree to which our partners sitting here today, or not here today on the panel, have contributed to this. It's completely impossible for us to have done it without them. They were critical in the shaping of the ideas, in the advocacy, and in the development of the process. Now, none of this is to suggest that the road was easy. This is a rather difficult subject, and that's an understatement. We've had to live with a series of tensions, some major ones that have, and these tensions have propelled us forward, and at the same time, they did not permit us to come up with what I'd call clean solutions. The first and most obvious has already been referred to, I think Art summed it up well, is between the Israelis and the Palestinians themselves. The Israelis control the old city, and the Palestinians wish to control the old city. Their starting points are very different. Their political cultures are very different. They're both intrigued by the idea to one degree or another, but for very different reasons. And we've had to respect that. We've had to respect their ability to digest it, accept it, regarding timing. And that's where the process, and that's where the diplomacy came in, where we've had to really manage that process. The second tension, related very much to substance, was regarding how much control the third party would have in the old city special regime and how much the nationals would maintain. Now that led to vicious, violent confrontations even within our group. That's the core substance. It was over issues such as the governance board, its relationship with the chief administrator, its relationship with the parties, the scope and mandate of the special regime, what in fact would it have, what it would not have. Mike Malloy will explain a lot more of that to you. And what you see today is in a sense of filtration of 7 years of arguing and debating that. And we've maintained the concept of what I would describe as a heavy special regime, because we think we need one in order to have a sustainable instrument there. Now, third, and most critically, we've had to deal with the tension between sovereignty and functionality. Look, it's relatively easy for Canadians to look at the old city and say, this is what we think would work there, functionality. But everybody, I think, in this room knows that national appetites in the Middle East are not light. The issue of classical territorial sovereignty is huge. We don't say anything about sovereignty. We leave that to the negotiators. We've focused on building a system that works. It's our view that what we have produced can apply on any sovereignty arrangement, including deferred sovereignty or even a lack of agreement, and maybe especially a lack of agreement. Some have told us that we're mistaken, that our work have large implications for sovereignty. We'll leave that for future debate and for the negotiators themselves. These tensions forced us to compromise, and what you see is the compromise, the final result of all these tensions and many others working together. Now, finally, what are some of the lessons and the practical implications of what we've done? First of all, time. This process has taken 7 years and a lot of effort on our part. Look, frankly, if we had had the funding, we could have done the substance in much more quickly. But the process of diplomatic and policy penetration actually does take time. It's a very slow process, requires a lot of advocates and advocacy, and requires political context. The second lesson, I think, is complexity. There's no way this could have been a simple process. It's a mix of track 1, track 1.5, track 2. No way it could have been any one of those. And academic, actually, work. We've had to deal with a lot of complexity. But third, and I think possibly most importantly, is the issue that the issue of Jerusalem demands, in our view, an international dimension and an international process as an aspect of the whole drive. The very process we created is international, as I think you see by the people here. Even if this fact is not popular, I don't think it's going to go away. And the ideas behind it are going to stay, in my view at least. Now, relatedly and finally, what we've seen through our work with our partners from the region, through what we saw, what happened in Camp David, even in some of the discussions in Annapolis, is that there seems to be a logic in the negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians that Danny Seidemann has a sense of humor, that leads to, that inevitably leads to Israelis and Palestinians considering the idea of special arrangements or special regime for the old city. There's a logic about it and an inevitability that has given us a certain conviction about our work. Now, we're very aware that the ability of both sides to discuss the option publicly varies greatly. We need to continue to respect that. Our job has been to do the work, the substantive work, as well as possible, to disseminate it broadly, and frankly, to hope for the best. Thanks very much.